Hi friends, today we're going to do a reaction to Time in the Bottle by Jim Croce, and it's a great time to do a reaction for this because we recently crossed the 50th anniversary of this song's release, and there was actually a big thing on TV where they showed his son actually performing his music, and his son actually is championing and promoting his music. And I watched it, and his son was interviewed speaking about how, of course, it's well known that this song is written by Jim Croce about his son when his son was born. And Time in the Bottle, this song is about wanting to save time so Jim can spend more time with his son. It's a really sweet song to his son. Now, the song is really nicely written, it's pretty poetry, but there's one verse in here that stands above everything else. And if you're looking for poetry, and in my channel, if you've been watching, we do most of our focus is on the poetry analysis and the writing, and we try to find the most beautiful, amazing lines and try to make sense of them. And verse 3 here, we'll go right to that. And it's really the last verse. So usually songs are like verse, chorus, and the chorus is the catchy repeating part, but the verses are typically where most of the story is and where most of the interesting lyrics are. Usually, not always, songs, they're different, but usually. And so here we have this 4 lines of text, which I highlighted in blue so that you can easily see. And because we already know it's a song for his son, and the first 2 verses basically go on about how there's never enough time, but he wishes he can save time. Okay, that's really what the story of the song builds for, so that it can all culminate in this line. Now, this line, if you listen as a listener, just in passing into this song, you'll hear this and you'll kind of get it, but this is actually quite complicated. So we need to unpack it, and to unpack it, I actually put it in a Word document. So we're going to simplify this verse. First, let's just read it, so we're all on the same page in case you're not as familiar with it. So, if I had a box just for wishes and dreams that would never come true, the box would be empty, except for the memory of how they were answered by you. There's a lot of twists and turns here. First of all, it's not written so easy, in a way that's so easy to understand. It should be, if I had a box just for wishes and dreams. That should be one line. But because of the cadence of the song and where words have to fit, it becomes a little confusing. If I had a box just for wishes and dreams, as though those are 2 different things. They're the same thing. So let's actually simplify and strip away, and then actually I'm going to have my own interpretation of this line for you, of this verse. And then actually I'm going to ask you for yours, because during my research of the song, it was very easy to find what the song is about. Obviously, it's for his son. A lot of surface details, but I never found a deep analysis of this verse, which is the most interesting verse here. Okay, so let's do it ourselves. This is going to be it, starting with me in the video and you helping in the comments. So here are these 4 lines, and let's not have them in like they're originally structured, but let's have them be structured in how they would make sense in speech. So if I had a box for wishes and dreams that had never come true, this is one sentence. And just to simplify this, let's just say wishes. Okay, just to simplify. Okay, now what is this? A box for wishes that had never come true. Okay, all the things that he wishes that never came true. All of us, I guess, have this. In his case, he says no. He says his box would be empty. That means all of his wishes have come true. Okay, so far we're so good. We're just getting to the complicated spot. So far, he has no wishes that didn't come true. So, except for, and now this next line we have to unpack, because you see, it's very confusing in how it's written. Except for the memory of how they were answered by you. You would think, like, it's a little confusing to add the word memory. Like, why is it a memory? Well, to understand this really well, you actually have to take out the word memory. So, except for how they were answered by you. See, if I put that here, this is wrong, but you have to see it's helpful to see the wrong way to understand why you need that word memory. Bear with me, it will become clear in a second. So the box would be empty. His box of wishes would be empty, except for the one thing, how they were answered by you. This just doesn't make sense in English language. There's no such phrasing that can be. It's not poetic, you know. This just doesn't make sense unless, because what's in a box? Things are in a box, right? And there's no things except for how they were answered by you. That's not a thing. This is just logically impossible, grammatically impossible bunch of words right here. That's why you need the memory. So he would put that memory into the box of how all the wishes were answered by the son, by his son being born. Now, my question is, why is it a memory? Why is it not the feeling? Here's my idea. Most people have wishes and they want more and more and whatever, right? But he would be like, I'm good here. Instead of looking forward, he would put the memory. Instead of a wish or hope or dream that looks forward, he would put a memory which looks backward at that moment where all the other things he wanted disappeared because the son made his life complete. And I feel like this, we had to spend a while unpacking for the logic of this to become so apparent. It's super not apparent if you just listen. Unless you're a genius, which I guess I'm not, despite my best self-reinforcing positive talk. But that goes on here. But this is interesting, right? Instead of looking forward, all the things you want that you don't have, you just tidy up the box and put, hey, mic drop. I got it. I got everything. When my son came, I remember that moment. And in that moment when his son was born, all the other dreams went away because that resolved all his dreams. That's super sweet. Like, whoa, that is really sweet. And what a gift to write to your son. Of course, the story of the song is really sad because Jim Croce actually, I believe, died in a plane crash like a year after the song. And this kind of writing, is Bob Dylan level kind of writing, like tremendous poetry. It's really rare that you get a musician who is a really good poet. You get a lot of musicians who are good poets. You get many who are okay poets. You get many who don't know what the word poetry means. But it's rare that you get one that they are just really good poets. And this is on the level of Bob Dylan. Maybe I actually think this is slightly higher caliber poetry than Neil Young, which I love Neil Young. He's my hero, but I feel like this is maybe this line packs out such a punch that I don't know, maybe on the same level like Leonard Cohen, maybe even, you see if Jim Croce stayed alive and had 70 years to create versus, dying younger, I wonder all the amazing things he would have come up with. He would have maybe made himself on par with those names, where he just doesn't have as many songs he released because he died. But this line, wow, this line, it took me such a while, and I was already thinking about it before I made this video, and I was thinking about it even when I was listening to the song so many times for so many years, and only now it hit me as I'm filming this video, because we're unpacking it and diving into it really deeply, that wow, super impressive. And of course I'm going to get a lot of hate in the comments about he's not better than Neil Young, what are you talking about? Okay, save those comments. These are all great artists. It's a little impossible to compare, but if I could, But anyway, thanks for listening. And I actually, sometimes, of course, people do reaction videos because they want their own music to also be heard. And of course, I also released some music with amazing poetry recently, and I'd love for you to check it out. So it's not Neil Young, it's not Bob Dylan, it's not Jim Croce, but it is music with good poetry that you may very well enjoy if you like Jim Croce and Neil Young. So I'll have the links to that in the comments. I'll have the links to that in the description of the video, so check it out. And also on top of that, a long time ago, I wrote 2 songs for when my daughter was born, and I also tried to have interesting poetry. The line I used, "and flowers will grow where you skip along." So it's not the same as Jim Croce, but I feel like that's also a pretty image. That was from my song. So check it out, and I hope you enjoyed this Jim Croce poetry analysis and song reaction. And please, if you have a different interpretation of this verse, of this line, comment in the video. And if you have more information about the song, it's one of my all-time favorites. It's such a pretty song. Please leave that in the comments as well. Thank you for listening, and see you in my next video.